So we do that. We often do that. But talking about the systemic fraud that we were talking about, it's not so much that we're talking about the EB5 program, we're talking about the fact that most of these EB5 programs are involving construction projects. And construction, as we know, competes with healthcare in the level of fraud. You know, those are the two industries that we see the most fraud in. Now, systemic-wise, the biggest one that we saw was where every I made reference to it before, every tradesman was getting paid 2 extra hours of overtime, and this was an under-the-table agreement with the unions, and it involved every big construction company, not just on EB5 projects, but on every construction project. In fact, I'll give you an example. The U.S. Attorney's Office was built with a fraud itself. The Loretta Lynch was sitting behind the desk, and I said, your office was built with fraud. You know, and this affected your own office's construction.
And what's the solution?
Solution is to have true integrity monitoring from the beginning, from the minute the money leaves the investor's hand until the end of the project. And what we offer based on our experience from all of this is that we have systems in place where we monitor it. It's much less costly. The investors, in this day of electronic data and information, they sit there and they're watching the ratios, they're watching the project percentage of completion, what's going on, how's the money being spent, and we are reporting on that.
Right.
So you know, we're not in bed with the construction companies or the developer that's doing the project, so we look at it from a very objective view, you know, and going to the second question, where you asked about one of the most recent investigations that we've done. Again, sadly we get called in, and we actually turn down a lot of these investigations because we just can't handle the volume. The last one we did involved close to 100 investors, mostly from China, some from India and Iran, and a few from some other countries. Russia was one of them. And it was a huge project for a luxury hotel, and we investigated that. And I'll just walk you through what we found. Out of the $47 million that came in, $18 million was stolen in this project. It was a EB5 project, and $10 million went to pay for a luxury yacht registered in the Cayman Islands. We traced it, we found the yacht. $5.5 million went to pay for the satisfaction of the mortgage of the developer's mansion on the ocean. And the household help that was employed in this mansion, I think you probably know the case, you've read enough about it. The household help was being paid out of the project. So the gardener, the cook, even the mistress was getting paid out of the, I mean, it was bizarre. So we had that. That came to close to $1 million. And on top of that, you had a restaurant that was built by the construction manager who was not even licensed and turned out to be a mob guy that was brought in. Those are some of the realities when things go wrong and we don't have adequate compliance checks. So we did the investigation. The regional center was devastated. They had no part in the fraud based on the evidence that we reviewed. And they asked us to submit the case for criminal prosecution on many counts, wire fraud and a number of other violations federally. So I walked it to the U.S. Attorney, and it's been accepted, and luckily, we're getting to seize a lot of the assets that were stolen so that the investors are protected. And that's just one recent case that